On the news, House of Representatives engages NASU, SANU and NAT on the warning strike by the unions.
Come up with a motion before the floor of the House.
Stakeholders move to address certificate racketeering in Nigerian universities.
Already the government is taking steps with respect to our neighboring countries, proliferation of institutions and academic qualifications from this.
Plus, correspondent with a background report on student loan bill.
We have a president who is interested in expanding and deepening access to education.
Welcome to Parliamentary News. I'm Amina Saidu. There are indications that some unions which recently embarked on strike in Nigerian universities may suspend further action following a meeting with the House of Representatives Committee on University Education. National Assembly correspondent Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports that the major concern by the aggrieved members are non-implementation of the 2009 agreement reached between them and government, which the committee promised to intervene.
The meeting involved leadership of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, the National Association of Academic Technologists, and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities. They complained over payment of arrears of new minimum wage, payment of retirement benefits to members, and poor funding of state universities, among other issues affecting university education.
There is no strike that has been called by these two unions. The government have not been appropriately notified. In most cases, those notices were ignored. Most of the time, they don't even respond to our letters. They don't even acknowledge receipt of letters. And that in itself is very problematic.
After the signing of that agreement, 8 years after signing of that agreement, 80 to 90% of what was contained in that agreement were not implemented.
The unions agreed to suspend any further action pending the outcome of the intervention of the committee.
Look at most of these your requests. If there is any way, most of this can be shown to law to become an act in all these things, discuss that with the chairman. He can bring it on the floor of the House.
I will come up with a motion before the floor of the House to carry the weight of the entire House of Representatives, and it will be communicated to Mr. President directly.
It is expected that the unions will cascade to members the fruitful outcome of the meeting before announcing their position on the strike. From the National Assembly, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Concerned by the increasing reports on educational certificate racketeering, the House of Representatives has launched an investigation into the matter. As a follow-up to a motion to that effect, moved by the Chairman House Committee on University Education, Abubakar Hassan Fulata, during the plenary, the committee is set to hold an investigative hearing. National Assembly correspondent Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports that chairmen of 4 various committees are to carry out the investigation on the matter and report back to the House.
This meeting is intended to critically look into the matter on the best approach to seamlessly handle, commence and accomplish the assignment to unearth and identify the culprits involved in the scandalous act and identify some of the private Nigerian universities in the country operating outside the law and prefer workable and sustainable recommendations to ensure that they are brought to book.
Already the government is taking steps with respect to our neighboring countries, proliferation of institutions and academic qualifications from this. But the activities of this ad hoc committee, of this committee, based on this motion, I think it's very important. It's going to be very far-reaching in tackling and exposing some of the complacencies that are surrounding, that leading up to all these issues.
The reenactment of the Student Loan Access to Higher Education Bill 2024 rekindles hope for the commencement of the scheme, which many believe will expand access to education, especially for the less privileged in the society. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ipen in our next report highlights some of the issues in the executive bill, which has passed expeditiously by the red and green chambers.
The Students' Loans Access to Higher Education Act 2023 was signed into law by President Bola Tinubu on 12th June 2023. However, certain challenges with that act were observed and pointed out by citizens and interested groups with regards to implementation. They include the imposition of the CBN governor to manage the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, whereas this is outside the core mandate of the Apex Bank. Under the 2023 Students' Loans Act, students can only apply for loans to pay tuition fees without provision for upkeep and other institutional costs which may arise while schooling. Again, the Act initially allows only applicants with a combined family income of less than 500,000 per annum, disqualifying those with less income. These and other bottlenecks compel the executive arm of government to reintroduce the Students' Loan Access to Higher Education Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2024 to address the gaps and ensure greater inclusion of the Nigerian youth in the scheme. The new bill now establishes the Nigerian Education Loan Fund as a corporate body that provides loans to qualified Nigerians for tuition fees, charges, and upkeep costs during their studies in approved tertiary education institutions, as well as vocational and skills acquisition institutions in the country. The new bill also removes the family income threshold to enable Nigerian students apply for loans and accept responsibility for repayment. It also removes the guarantor requirement so that students can apply for and receive loans. The redrafting of the eligibility criteria lawmakers believe presents the Tinubu administration as a listening government.
We have a president who is interested in expanding and deepening access to education for the poor.
The bill, as represented, has taken care of the issues of process of application. It has taken care of the issues of what is expected of applicants to place before the government, and in fact, repayment.
I see it as one of those that seeks to balance the gap in education for the rich and the poor.
And students of Nigeria are going to benefit from this student loan scheme for the benefit of our educational system and for the development of Nigeria.
When the bill becomes law eventually, many believe it will be a game changer in expanding access to tertiary education in the country. Mitari Ikben, NTA News.
Thank you, Mitari, for that background report. And to shed more light on the student loan bill, we have in our studio Dr. Philip Hayab. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
How will the proposed student bill address accessibility to higher education for students from diverse socio-economic backgrounds?
The students' loan bill is a welcome development. I remember sometimes, maybe last year, when this bill, or when the proposal was made by His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, I commended the thought and the idea on the ground that students' loan is actually a practice globally to support indigent students to undertake undergraduate, sometimes postgraduate studies before they are employed and they start to pay off this loan. So it gives opportunity to students who generally, or prospective students who would have not been able to make it to the university because of lack of funds, to be able to acquire this loan, undertake study, and be able to be gainfully employed in the future. There is a caveat that I know from my experience as a student when I was in school abroad. There are more students who take the student's loan. They work very hard because they know that in the first place, Their grades is even something. Their grades, you know, once you take the first year, you are supposed to turn in your grades so that you can acquire the loan for the second year. It's not that once you are given, you continue to take the money even when you go to the university and fail to work. So there is a standard, there is a protocol, and I'm sure that the bill is taking care of these issues, because that is the way to sustain it. So yes, it's a welcome development, and we look forward to having this loan different from the way it was before, because interestingly, there was a student's loan practice in Nigeria, and it was out of the kind of corruption that has become endemic in our country that this student's loan became defunct. Thank God that His Excellency the President is bringing it back, and we look forward to this loan helping especially students whose parents, some of them might even be orphans, cannot afford to go to school, to be able to go to school, so that lack should not become a hindrance to the furthering of education of any Nigerian.
Thank you very much. Are there measures included in the bill that will ensure these students' loans are manageable to avoid creating financial burden on these graduates?
Yes, from the inception, there was a criteria, or the criteria was very explicit to say, or providing that these loans, the loan can only be accessed by a person who parents or guardians do not earn money up to 500,000 naira in a year, or per annum as it is. By implication, no child whose parent is a civil servant or senior civil servant at any level, higher level, that will be qualified to acquire this loan. Someone will have to earn less than 50,000 naira a month to be qualified. That is someone's parents. And in a way, some of the beneficiaries might be children whose parents are not even alive. How do you assess that someone's parents do not earn up to 500,000? In today's age, we have the BVN, which allows you to access a person's account truthfully, and there is no way all the accounts that the person will have through the BVN, you'll be able to monitor them. So it shows that there is a way that we can track to ascertain parents who do not earn so much money, so that their children, or do not earn enough money to support their children, so that they, the ones who are deserving of these loans, the loan, will get it. Yeah, for farmers in the village, yes, it might be difficult to quantify their income. However, if someone is already a farmer in the village, even if they earn a lot of money, the chances are that they may not be very educated themselves. Therefore, supporting their children to acquire the loan so that they can further their education is also a good way of motivating and encouraging people in the rural areas to come out and seek further education as a way of developing themselves, and in the end, developing the country. So I believe these criteria, the criteria set up at the beginning, if well implemented, would be enough to guide us to ensuring that the right persons are the ones who get these loans. And maybe the other criterion that I will suggest is that the federal government must make a deliberate attempt to ensuring that people who undertake this loan, once they finish, there should be an employment scheme to cater for them, or else you will train these persons, they will come out and remain jobless, and there you will not be able to recuperate the loan and recoup the loans, and you will not be able to continue to give out these loans to others. So we should be deliberate about what we're going to do, and we can learn best practices from other countries. So everywhere in the world, in very capitalist economies, people acquire loans to buy houses, to buy cars. So we can do this and ensure that the right people, the people who are deserving of these loans, are the only ones who get these loans. Once we don't do this, I don't see this program surviving like the one that had happened in the past. God forbid.
Thank you very much, Dr. Philip Hyde, for joining us today.
Thank you.
We now take a break. Don't go away.
Are you looking for a short channel to make your business, goods and services go viral? Look no further, as NTA Parliament is your short channel. Take advantage of our wider reach and advertise your products and services on NTA Parliament DSTV channel 370, GoTV channel 126, StarTimes channel 306, and Free TV channel 706. For more inquiries, contact the Marketing Department, NTA Parliament, NTA Headquarters Area 11 Garki Abuja, or call these numbers 080-383-40464 or 080-770-78055. NTA Parliament, strengthening Nigeria's democracy.
Welcome back. In 2001, the Nigerian Parliament introduced a program which is now an established tradition. It is the Zonal Intervention Fund, popularly known as Constituency Project. 24 years after, this fund is said to have received more criticisms than praise in any National Assembly-initiated program. In this report, Ignatius Nko takes a look at the running of the Zonal Intervention Fund, also known as constituency projects.
Zonal Intervention Program, if you like call it constituency project, one of the features of the Nigerian Parliament introduced at the return of Nigeria's democracy in the Fourth Republic. In the wisdom of the proponents of this concept, it will bring development closer to the people. Constituency project at inception has a clear-cut pattern of operation. During the budget process, legislators identify projects to be established in their constituencies. This is supposed to be a product of need assessment involving the constituents. The arrangement is that the award of the contract, supervision and payment for such projects are carried out by a ministry, department or agency of government. It is expected that the legislators do not have any control over the funds and execution.
But the thing is that the idea that people have about this is that the members are being given this money to put in their pocket, and that is the most unfortunate thing. We can only make people to start having faith in that constituency project when we were able to be imparting life with that which have been budgeted.
Constituency project can arguably be described as the most controversial program of the National Assembly. At the inception of the program in 2001, each member is allocated 5 million naira as constituency funds, but at present it is well over 100 million. Some critics doubt if it is value for money that the constituents get.
Constituency project is actually one of the projects, which we are certain of and which have direct impact on the life of the people.
There is always a ceiling. You will say that yes, this is my ceiling for budget, but my budget in my constituency may be about electricity, but the requirement to the ordinary man is to dig, to do wells, to do ordinary wells.
On the 8th of November 2023, Budget, a civil society organization that tracks the implementation of constituency projects across the country, released its 2022 report, where it revealed that out of 3,691 projects tracked in 22 states between August 2022 and August 2023, only 337 were completed.
We have to take lessons from countries like Kenya, as mentioned, where there are even committees at the local constituency level responsible for, first of all, conducting needs assessment within the constituency and then making a request to a national body that will now release funds to that committee to implement those projects. What the lawmaker does is to pretend over and oversight to make sure that what is being implemented in the constituency is done effectively.
Constituency project is a global practice across Parliament, but what differs is the management and implementation process. Ignatius Nko, NTA News.
Dividends of democracy and good governance can only be achieved when the executive arm of the government and the legislature have a harmonious working relationship that will translate to national building. These are the views of stakeholders in this report, looking at the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which has started demonstrating democratic ideals that are expected to yield positive results in the constitutional duties of the two arms of government. Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
Since the return of civil rule in 1999, the relationship between the executive and the legislature has not been a complete robust one until the second tenure of former President Muhammadu Buhari, when the relationship improved. This, of course, led to the assessment of many bills that are impacting on the lives of Nigerians. The practice of horizontal accountability of power in contemporary Nigeria has always been a major defect of its democratic project.
If there is no cohesion, no integration, no synergy between the executive and the legislators, the so desired achievements in the areas of infrastructure development and other areas of national development will not be fully achieved. But if there is synergy, that is going to give a basis for a strong hold where democracy will take its full course.
The present administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, however, seems to be democratic. In his inaugural address, and I quote, "Our administration shall govern on your behalf, but never rule over you. We shall consult and dialogue, but never dictate. We shall reach out to all, but never put down a single person for holding views contrary to our own." These statements are a clarion call to work hand in hand with the legislature, considering the speedy approval of requests for appointment of special advisors to the president, meeting with members of the National Assembly, or leadership crisis, among other good moves, signifying brighter days ahead in legislative business.
Unlike what people used to witness before, because a bill is coming from the executive and you're a member of opposition, you must oppose what they are doing because you are not a member of the ruling party. No! We are here to make laws for the interests of Nigeria and Nigerians.
I'm hoping that we will cooperate with the executives and we will make sure they do what is right. We may to agree and disagree in some certain places.
But what will be the prospects of the 10th Assembly, as there may be some differences and disagreements, especially with the present composition of the lawmakers cutting across party lines?
We are coming to add value and we are coming to make a difference. We are coming to reset the National Assembly for the greater need of the Nigerian people.
This assembly is going to work together. Members are ready to work together. Members will build consensus, and then from this point, they will be able to represent and present laws that will make the executive deliver dividends of democracy.
Whatever the case, political observers believe the prospect seems to be brighter. In Abuja, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
The Pan-African Parliament is more energized, focused and committed to contributing to the African Continental Free Trade Area and Agenda 2063, which are vital for the economic development of the continent. The President of the Parliament, Senator Fortune Charumbira, was speaking with the media at the end of the 6th extraordinary session of the PAP in Midrand, South Africa.
We're making a contribution to trade, which is through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which is really the key thing about reviving economies on this continent. The issue of the Agenda 2063, which we believe has not moved in the pace that the citizens of this continent would have wanted to see. So we as PAP are sitting back and sitting down at committees again in all sectors. And now we've even introduced other committees like mining, which we never used to have. Committees like which is very specific on immigration. Now, because for now, a very amorphous, complex, heterogeneous type of committees. We are saying committees should be focused on clear business. But I want to admit that the challenge of unconstitutional changes of government on this country is something that, as a representative of the people, as a parliament, we need to sit down and rethink. Because we now have more coups than what it was the case 10 years ago. At the time when they were silencing the guns, instead of the guns silencing, they allow more guns that are being heard. So, indeed, we are going to move faster. I know there are issues of climate change, issues of food insecurity is a problem, but this is a more serious parliament now. Where this break was an interlude. We've come back with more energy, more sharper vision, and are ready to move.
Recall that about 45 new members were inaugurated at the 6th extraordinary session. Among them were 5 Nigerians. And that concludes the news, but you can follow us on the social media handles showing on your screen. On behalf of the production crew, I'm Amina Saidu.